Did George Pickens just throw a bit of shade at the Pittsburgh Steelers? Hello, Steeler Nation, and welcome to the latest episode of your Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. A bit later than normal, guys, but I've had a hectic day and I just got back from work. Anyway, welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate. If you've just found us, welcome, guys. You are welcome. We are a fan channel run by fans for you, the fan. Myself and Mark have over 50 years of supporting and following the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have a long history of watching them, a long history of talking about them, a long history of being Steelers fans. We actually know what we're talking about when it comes to Pittsburgh Steelers because we're fans. We know we have our opinions, but at least we know the players, we know the coaches, we know the history of the team, unlike other channels like Chat Sports who know jack about our Pittsburgh Steelers. So if you have subscribed to the Chat Sports, go on and subscribe. They don't know nothing about our Steelers. Anyway, George Pickens today was speaking after the Steelers practiced ahead of Thanksgiving. So there was a practice today. I know it is Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone over there in the United States. This was obviously in prep for Monday night's game against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, after Thanksgiving, after this practice, the team were given time off to go and celebrate with their fans, their family, and obviously get to a big get together because I know obviously it is a huge family occasion over there in the United States. Several Steelers were interviewed after the practice, including Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, for example. George Pickens, who had a great performance against the Bengals, one of the few players who did have a good performance against the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday night. He had a 4-catch, 83-yard touchdown performance. And was very, very impressive and was our best receiver out there. I think making an argument that he is the wide receiver one in this team. Now, he was interviewed by Ray Fittipaldo. Now, Ray Fittipaldo then tweeted out what George Pickens had to say, and this is what George Pickens said. George Pickens said that practices at Georgia were harder than the NFL because there was so much talent on the Bulldogs' defense. Now, at first glance, this doesn't seem like a great deal, does it? Yes, Georgia's defense was exceptionally talented last year. They are the national champions. They shut down Bama in the final. They had some fantastic players, obviously, like Lewis Seen, like Derion Kendrick, like Devontae Wyatt, like Jordan Davis. They had some exceptional talent. Now, obviously, NFL practices are different to college practices. They're more about maintenance. They're more about mental preparation than physically beating each other up. Certainly that's changed since the days, obviously, of the likes of Jack Lambert and Mean Joe Green and so on. Possibly even since the days of Debo as well. But you could take it as a little bit of a call out to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, couldn't you? A defense that boasts the likes of TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick. Certainly, you could say that George Pickens is questioning, the fact that they're as good as his teammates were in Georgia. Pickens obviously competes with the Steelers secondary in these practices, and by saying that. Georgia's practices were a lot tougher, a lot harder. What is this saying about our quarterbacks? What is this saying about our safeties? I know Georgia, like I said, had some talent there, like Kendrick and Sine, who have already transferred to the pros. And you've obviously got the likes of Kaylee Ringo and Christopher Smith as well, who will make the transition next year's draft to the pros. But, I think it really is a question of, what is he saying about the secondary? What is he saying about our cornerbacks? And I think this is part of a wider problem. He's that kind of flagging up a wider problem the Pittsburgh Steelers have, and that's the fact that our cornerback room is very much is very much missing a lot of quality, isn't it? I mean, you've got a lot of cornerback twos there. You've got Levi Wallace, who struggled at time in what's become a very man-heavy secondary coverage scheme. Cam Sutton, who probably has been the best corner, but he's good, but he's not amazing, is he? And Akella Witherspoon, who has struggled a lot this year. You've got Washington. You've got William Jackson III from Washington, who obviously come in on a trade and has yet to play. He's been out injured, and he's still injured, and there's even doubts that he will actually even turn out in black and gold this year. So that was a great trade, wasn't it? But this is really interesting that the Pickens has come out and said that playing against Georgia's defense was a lot tougher for him than playing against the Steelers defense. And playing against the Steelers secondary is not as tough as playing against Georgia's secondary. I mean, it really does show a weakness and even perhaps a lack of commitment amongst some players in the Steelers secondary. Something that perhaps is part of the issue this year. There has been, I think, a lack of commitment, a lack of desire, a lack of fight from a lot of players this year. I think Noah Strackbein was right with what he said on All Steelers Talk the other day. This team have given up, essentially, and that's a shame. It really is a shame. These guys should fight for the jersey. They really should. And it's interesting, isn't it, that George has come out and said this today, that he's come out and said that practices in the NFL are not anywhere near as hard as they were at Georgia. Does that also show a higher level of professionalism at Georgia? Does that also show a higher level of expectation from the coaching staff? You know, I know that Georgia's coaching staff are out elite and are very, very good coaching staff. You just got to see that Georgia again are, you know, the top team in college football this year and are certainly, I think, favourites again to be national champions and have some exceptional talent yet again, like Jalen Carter, for example, the defensive lineman. I'd love to see the Steelers draft, but it is really, I think, interesting comment, shall we say, by George Pickens. Could be seen as throwing some shade and calling out the Steelers' defense and perhaps demanding a higher level of professionalism and a higher level of commitment in practice. You know, guys, if you don't show commitment in practice, there's very little chance you'll show it in game day. If you can't be bothered to, you know, to test yourself against your own teammates, why are you going to do it on game day? I think that is something that is worth considering. Anyway, Steeler Nation, let me know what you think of George Pickens' comments. I think they're very interesting comments indeed that he has made today. And if you have just found the Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate, hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and give this video a like to help with our YouTube algorithm. Guys, we'll be back all this week with content, obviously, as well. Post-game show on next Monday night after the Colts game. Podcast previews, everything, guys. We have got it here on Pittsburgh Steelers Syndicate for you. So subscribe, it's free, get notifications, and don't miss out on anything. Thanks for watching, guys. Here we go, Steelers. Come on!